I want to talk to you about something that's been bothering me for the past few weeks. I've been walking through Costco, same warehouse I've been going to for over a decade, and something feels off. Not everything, not all at once, but there are gaps where things used to be. Shelves that look thinner, pallets that used to be stacked high now sitting half empty by noon, and the prices. Don't even get me started on the prices. This isn't panic. This isn't doom scrolling. This is just me paying attention. And if you shop at Costco regularly, if you rely on it the way a lot of us do, you need to hear this. Because there are 17 items right now that are either running low, climbing in price, or quietly disappearing from the Kirkland label roster. And most shoppers have no idea. They'll find out the hard way. On a Tuesday morning, cart half full, reaching for the thing they always grab, and it won't be there. I don't want that to be you. We're going to go through all 17 today. Some of them you'll expect. But a few of them genuinely surprised me, especially number 6. I've been buying number 6 every single month for years, and when I started digging into why it's getting harder to find, I actually had to put the phone down for a minute. Stay with me on this one. I'll get to it. And if you're new here, hit subscribe now. I do these stock-up alerts every few weeks. If you're the kind of person who likes to stay ahead of this stuff, this is the right channel for you. Let's get into it. Product number 1. Kirkland Signature Extra Virgin Olive Oil. This one is going to sting a little. Olive oil has been one of the most talked about grocery items over the past 3 years, and for good reason. The supply situation is genuinely serious. Mediterranean harvests, Spain, Italy, Greece, Tunisia, have been hit hard by drought, heat, and crop disease. Those regions produce the overwhelming majority of the world's extra virgin olive oil, and when yields drop there, prices go up everywhere. At Costco, the Kirkland Signature Extra Virgin Olive Oil used to be one of the best deals in the store. A few years ago, people were picking up 2 3-liter bottles for around $25. That same setup has been spotted at over $50 in some warehouses. A 2-liter bottle is now running close to $30 in many locations, and that's assuming it's in stock when you get there. Someone I used to work with who manages receiving at a large retail distributor told me, without naming names, that Mediterranean oil allocations have been cut back significantly at the wholesale level. The volume just isn't there to keep shelves full the way they were. I bought 2 2-liter bottles of the Kirkland Evo last month. I paid about $58 total. If I had waited another few months, I'd expect to pay close to $70 based on where commodity pricing is trending. That's a real difference for something I use almost every single day. Extra virgin olive oil stores beautifully. Keep it in a cool, dark cabinet away from your stove, and it will last easily 18 months without losing quality. If you're a regular cook, having 2 or 3 bottles on hand right now is just smart. It's not hoarding. It's protecting your grocery budget against something that's already happening. If you use olive oil in your kitchen, this is the first thing on your list this week. Product number 2, Kirkland Signature Colombian Supremo Coffee feels like something that will always be there. I know that feeling, but I want to push back on it just a little. The Kirkland Signature Colombian Supremo Coffee, that big 3-pound bag, has quietly crept up in price over the past year and a half. Part of it is tariff exposure. Nearly all the coffee Americans drink comes from outside the country. Colombia, Brazil, Vietnam, and other major growing regions have all faced trade pressure. And in 2025, coffee commodity prices hit multi-year highs. Roasters passed those costs along, and Costco was no exception. I've also been seeing members on forums and Reddit posts notice that some warehouse locations have had inconsistent stock on the Colombian Supremo in particular. Not empty, but thinner than usual, which usually means something upstream is getting squeezed. I picked up 3 3-pound bags in March. I paid just over $14 each. That felt like the right call. If coffee prices continue climbing at the pace they've been going, I'd expect to see that number push towards $17 or $18 within a year. If the Kirkland version stays on the shelf at all, whole bean and ground coffee stores incredibly well when sealed. Vacuum-sealed bags, kept in a cool, dry space away from light, can hold quality for 6 to 9 months easily. If you go through a bag every 3 to 4 weeks, having 2 or 3 on hand is completely manageable. Coffee is the thing you do not want to run out of. Stock accordingly. Product number 3. Kirkland Signature. Pure maple syrup. This one surprised me more than I expected it to. Maple syrup sounds so simple. Trees, sap, heat. But the reality is that it's a product entirely at the mercy of seasonal weather, specifically the temperature swing patterns in early spring in Canada and the northeastern U.S. Warmer winters have been shortening the tapping season, reducing sap yields, and driving up the wholesale cost of pure maple syrup globally. Canada produces somewhere around 80% of the world's maple syrup. When their yields drop, the price goes up everywhere, including Costco. Processors and buyers who track this industry have been saying for the past 2 seasons that inventory buffers, which used to absorb short crop years, are getting drawn down. Costco discontinued its Kirkland Signature chocolate chips in 2024 when cocoa prices made it impossible to hold a competitive price point. Maple syrup is now sitting in a similar pressure zone. I stocked up on 2 large jugs last month. The price was still reasonable, about $13 to $14 per jug depending on location. That's a strong value compared to what you'd pay at a regular grocery store. But I've been watching the price tick upwards steadily, and I don't love where it's heading. Unopened pure maple syrup lasts indefinitely. That's not an exaggeration. It's a shelf-stable product as long as the seal is intact. Once opened, keep it in the fridge and it will stay good for over a year. There is essentially no downside to having an extra jug on hand. Grab it now while the Kirkland price is still holding. Product number 4. Kirkland Signature Organic Tomato Sauce. This is one I'd been taking for granted, and I shouldn't have been. The 12-can pack of Kirkland Signature Organic Tomato Sauce has been a staple in my pantry for years. 15 ounces per can, organic, roughly $14 for the whole pack. That is an outstanding value. But the supply picture for California-grown tomatoes, which is where Costco sources these, has been getting difficult. California canneries are growing significantly fewer tomatoes this year. Water restrictions, rising operational costs, and a complicated drought and heat cycle have pushed some growers out of the business entirely. Processors are reducing output, and organic tomato supply, which was already more limited than conventional, is feeling that squeeze more acutely. A contact in the food distribution side, someone I spoke with at a trade event and have no reason to doubt, told me that tomato-based products are one of the categories where they're already managing allocation carefully heading into the second half of 2026. I went back and bought 4 packs, 48 cans total, shortly after that conversation. I paid around $55. If I had to replace those at a regular grocery store, organic tomato sauce runs close to $2 a can or more. I saved significant money per unit just by planning ahead. Canned tomato sauce, because of its high acidity, keeps exceptionally well. It will be safe and flavorful for years beyond the printed date. This is what preppers call pantry gold, and for good reason. It goes into pasta, soup, chili, pizza. It is one of the most versatile things you can stock. Don't wait on this one. Product number 5. Kirkland Signature. Organic virgin coconut oil. Coconut oil is one of those products that people either use constantly or never think about. If you're in the first group, this matters to you right now. The supply chain for coconut oil runs primarily through the Philippines and Indonesia. Both countries have been dealing with aging tree stock. Coconut palms take years to mature and replace, combined with labor shortages and, more recently, export restrictions affecting large volume buyers. Securing the volume needed to carry a private label Kirkland product is genuinely difficult right now. In early 2026, retailers and distributors tracking this category have noted that Kirkland's organic coconut oil supply has become less consistent at the warehouse level. Some locations receive it regularly. Others go weeks without a restock. I use coconut oil constantly, for cooking, for baking, and honestly for a few skincare things I won't embarrass myself by getting into. I bought an 84-ounce tub last time I was in. It was around $26. A comparable organic coconut oil at a regular grocery store runs close to $40 for a smaller size. The value difference is meaningful. Coconut oil is shelf-stable for 2 to 3 years in a cool, dark environment. It doesn't need to be refrigerated. One large tub lasts most households a very long time. Buying one or two now while the Kirkland version is still on the shelf is just good planning. If you see it at your warehouse, put it in the cart. Don't walk past it. Product number 6. Kirkland Signature Canned Chicken Breast. Here is the one I mentioned at the beginning. This one genuinely stopped me in my tracks when I started digging into it. Canned chicken has always felt like a humble, unremarkable item. I've been buying it for years without giving it much thought. Costco's version, Kirkland Signature Canned Chicken Breast, has been a go-to for quick lunches, meal prep, and emergency pantry stocking. It's a clean, high-protein product at a price that makes name-brand alternatives look almost offensive. But here's what I found out. Poultry processing is under serious pressure right now. Bird flu has caused significant disruption across the industry over the past year and a half, reducing flock sizes, increasing per-bird processing costs, and tightening the supply of poultry that makes it to canning facilities. At the same time, the plants that handle large volume, Kirkland-level canned chicken contracts are dealing with labor shortages and stricter regulatory requirements. Some of those plants have reduced output. I went back and checked my last few Costco trips. The canned chicken section has been noticeably lighter than it used to be. Not absent, but lighter. I bought 6 multi-packs in February. I paid somewhere around $36 to $38 total. I've seen people online say that name-brand canned chicken at regular grocery stores is running close to $2.50 per can or more. The savings on the Kirkland version, when it's available, are substantial. Canned chicken has a shelf life of 3 to 5 years. It does not require refrigeration. It is one of the highest value protein sources you can store. If prices on this product spike, which they very well might, having a supply on hand is the difference between paying your price and paying whatever price you're given. This is the one that made me sit down. Stock it now. Product number 7. Kirkland Signature Mixed Nuts. Mixed nuts might be the most quietly expensive thing at Costco that most people don't notice creeping up on them. The Kirkland Signature Mixed Nuts canister, that familiar large tin, has been affected by tariff pressure from multiple directions at once. Cashews, which make up a significant portion of the blend, come primarily from Brazil and Vietnam. Both countries were subject to meaningful tariff increases in 2025. Almonds and pistachios are more domestically sourced, which helps, but the mix relies on global sourcing across over 20 countries according to Costco's own buyers. The per-unit cost on nuts has climbed steadily. What used to feel like a generous bulk deal is now approaching prices that make you do the math twice. The last time I priced this out carefully, I was paying around $22 to $23 for the big canister. At a regular grocery store, the same weight of comparable mixed nuts would run $35 or more. The value gap is still there, but it's narrowing. And that narrowing is what worries me. Mixed nuts store well in a sealed container in a cool location. For longer-term storage, the freezer works beautifully. They won't freeze solid, and they'll hold quality for 6 to 12 months easily. They're calorie-dense, protein-rich, and useful in dozens of recipes beyond just snacking. The window where this feels like a bargain is getting smaller. Get a few canisters while the math still works in your favor. Product number 8. Kirkland Signature Paper Towels. I know. Paper towels. Bear with me. Paper towels feel so basic that it's almost embarrassing to include them on a stock-up list. But here's what I've noticed, and what the data backs up. Whenever there is any kind of supply chain anxiety, any reason for people to start thinking about stocking up, paper towels are one of the first things to disappear from warehouse shelves. We saw it in 2020. We saw it during the port strike fears in 2024. It happens fast, and it happens before most people realize what's going on. The Kirkland Signature Premium Big Roll Paper Towels, 12 individually wrapped rolls, 2-ply, 160 sheets each, run about $24. That's a strong price per roll. The rolls are genuinely large and high quality. This is not a product where you're sacrificing to save money. Pulp and paper pricing has also been elevated. Raw material costs have pushed manufacturers to quietly reduce sheet counts on some products, what people call shrinkflation. The Kirkland version has held up better than most, but that can only last so long when input costs stay elevated. I keep at least 2 packs on hand at all times. It takes up some garage space, sure, but when I don't have to think about paper towels for 3 months, That's a genuine convenience that has real value. Paper towels store indefinitely. There is no expiration. There is no downside to having extra. This is a low-drama, high-sense purchase. Don't let the shelves be empty when you need them. Product number 9. Kirkland Signature Laundry Detergent. Laundry detergent is one of those things you buy without thinking until you run out. At which point you go to whatever store is closest and pay whatever it costs. That's not a good position to be in. The Kirkland Signature Ultra Clean Laundry Detergent, the 195 fluid ounce jug, good for 146 loads, has been hovering around $20. That's a genuinely exceptional cost per load. Most name brand equivalents at conventional grocery stores run well above that mark, sometimes double or more on a per load basis. The concern here is twofold. Plastic resin prices, which affect detergent containers and some formulation components, have been elevated, and during any period of economic anxiety, cleaning products are among the first to be bulk purchased. Availability can tighten fast. I've started picking up 2 jugs at a time instead of 1. The cost difference is minimal in the moment, but having that backup supply has saved me more than once when I didn't get to Costco on the schedule I planned. Liquid laundry detergent, when stored at room temperature and away from extreme heat, holds its efficacy for at least a year to 18 months. In a cool garage or utility room, it can go longer. 1 jug for most households lasts weeks. 2 jugs is a quarter of a year of security. This is not a glamorous purchase, but it's a smart one. Product number 10. Kirkland Signature Wild Alaskan Salmon. Let me be honest about something. Salmon is expensive. It has been getting more expensive. And at Costco, even the Kirkland-branded Wild Alaskan Salmon has been climbing in ways that would have been surprising just a few years ago. Wild salmon has real supply constraints. You can't factory farm it the way you can with farmed Atlantic salmon. The catch is determined by nature, by quota, and by the health of the fishery in a given season. When those conditions are unfavorable, lower than expected returns on key Alaskan runs, for instance, prices go up across the board. Costco has historically offered one of the best prices on wild salmon in the retail market, but I've watched the Kirkland smoked salmon go from around $19 or $20 to closer to $23 or $24 over the past couple of years. The fresh wild salmon fillets have seen similar trajectories. Shoppers on Reddit have been tracking it. I buy the smoked salmon when I can because it gives me more flexibility. It's shelf-stable when sealed, lasts several months in the refrigerator after opening, and is excellent in a wide variety of meals. I pick up 2 or 3 packages when it's available at a price I like, and I feel good about it. Wild salmon is one of the most nutrient-dense things you can stock. Omega-3s, protein, and it's genuinely delicious. If the Kirkland price holds for now, take advantage of that. Product number 11. Kirkland Signature Creamy Peanut Butter. This one actually disappeared from Costco shelves last year, and its return has been slow and uneven. Kirkland Signature Creamy Peanut Butter was pulled from most warehouses due to a shortage of the specific peanut variety used in the formula. The supply chain disruption was real. Not a decision, not a reformulation, just a raw material problem. Costco had to pull the product and offer a replacement. Shoppers were unhappy. People who'd been buying it for years suddenly couldn't find it. By late 2025 and early 2026, it started coming back. But the rollout has been gradual, and not every warehouse has had it consistently. That kind of instability tells you something about the underlying supply picture. Peanut butter is a high-protein, shelf-stable, endlessly practical food. A 40-ounce jar runs somewhere in the range of $8 to $10 at Costco, a fraction of what comparable sizes cost elsewhere. If you can find it right now, buy 2. Properly stored, commercial peanut butter, sealed, away from heat, lasts a year or more without issue. Open jars hold well in the fridge for months. This is one of the single best pantry items you can stock. The fact that it disappeared and came back tells you it can disappear again. Get it while it's there. Product number 12. Kirkland Signature Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil in the smaller format. I know I talked about olive oil already, but this is a different angle, so stay with me. The smaller format organic version of Kirkland's EVOO, the 2-liter jug, is the one that has been most inconsistently stocked. The larger multi-packs seem to move in and out of inventory more reliably. But that specific 2-liter organic jug, which carries a higher price tag due to certification costs, has been absent from a notable number of warehouses I've heard about from members in different parts of the country. The organic designation adds a sourcing layer that the conventional version doesn't have. When yields drop, and olive yields in Mediterranean growing regions have dropped significantly, the certified organic portion of the crop is the first to shrink because there is less flexibility in how those trees are managed. At around $21 for 2 liters, this is still a strong value. But availability is the issue. When I see it, I buy it. I don't wait and think about it. I put it in the cart. Treat this like a slightly different product from the standard EVOO, even though it looks similar. If you cook with it regularly, it's worth having 2 or 3 units on hand. Product number 13. Kirkland Signature Kirkland Butter. The Kirkland Signature Butter situation has become something I track almost weekly now. Butter prices have been volatile for the past couple of years. Multiple Reddit threads from early 2025 documented week-over-week jumps in Kirkland butter prices at Costco locations across the country. 4 pounds of Kirkland butter went from around $12 to well over $14 within months. Some locations hit close to $15. Part of this is the broader dairy market. Part of it is the fact that Kirkland's grass-fed butter comes from New Zealand, which has faced tariff pressure. Even a 10% tariff on a product like butter, where margins are already thin, eventually flows through to the shelf price. Butter is one of those pantry items that rewards bulk buying. It freezes exceptionally well. If you buy 4 or 5 pounds and freeze what you don't need immediately, you lock in today's price and never run out. I've done this for the past year and it's saved me a meaningful amount of money. 4 pounds at Costco versus comparable volumes at a regular grocery store is still a significant price difference. But that gap has been closing. Buy now while the gap is still meaningful. Product number 14. Kirkland Signature. Honey Real honey has become a complicated product. The global honey market has been dealing with what researchers and food safety organizations describe as an adulteration problem. Cheaper syrups being blended into honey from secondary suppliers and represented as pure honey. This has made it harder for large buyers like Costco to source certified, verified pure honey at volume without paying significantly more. Costco has been reviewing its honey sourcing, and availability of the Kirkland Signature pure honey has been inconsistent at some warehouse locations. Some members have noted extended periods where it simply wasn't available. Here's the remarkable thing about real honey. It literally does not expire. Archaeologists have found edible honey in ancient Egyptian tombs. Honey stored in a sealed container at room temperature is safe and good indefinitely. There is genuinely no downside to having 5 or 10 pounds of it on hand. The Kirkland price on honey has been holding reasonably well compared to specialty brands, which can run $20 to $30 for much smaller quantities. If you cook with honey, use it for tea, or keep it for emergency food stores, the Costco version is still the value play. When you see it stocked, buy extra. It will outlast everything else on this list. Product number 15. Kirkland Signature Toilet Paper. I will not apologize for including this. Toilet paper is the canary in the coal mine for retail supply anxiety. Every time something makes the news, port strikes, weather events, economic uncertainty, it is the first thing to disappear from warehouse shelves. We have seen this documented clearly, multiple times. It is not a coincidence. It is a pattern. The Kirkland Signature Bath Tissue, 30 rolls of 2-ply comfort, has been one of the most consistently good value products Costco offers. Price per roll is hard to beat. Quality is solid. Members who've been buying it for years have no reason to switch. But the pattern of panic-adjacent buying has been real. In late 2024, during port strike fears, Costco members across the country reported empty paper goods sections. Some stores reinstated purchase limits. The supply itself was fine, but the demand spike outpaced what was on the floor. You do not want to be in that position. Toilet paper stores indefinitely. It takes up space, yes. But having a 3-month supply on hand costs you nothing except a corner of your garage. Buy ahead of the next disruption, not during it. The person who stocks up calmly now does not have to scramble anxiously later. Product number 16. Kirkland Signature. Organic chicken breast chicken has been under pressure from multiple directions, and the organic segment has felt it most acutely. Bird flu has reduced flock sizes significantly across the poultry industry over the past year and a half, and that means fewer birds going through processing plants, higher per-unit costs, and price increases that have filtered through to every format of chicken at retail. Costco's organic chicken breast, whether fresh or frozen, has been climbing in price. The organic certification layer adds additional cost. Certified organic birds require specific feed and practices that cost more per bird and limit the number of farms that can supply the volume Costco needs. When total flock sizes shrink, the organic supply shrinks first. I've been buying the frozen organic chicken breast in bulk at Costco and running it through a vacuum sealer for the freezer. At Costco prices, even after the recent increases, the per-pound cost is still meaningfully lower than what you'd pay at a conventional grocery store for a comparable organic product. Chicken, properly frozen and sealed, holds quality for up to a year. If you buy when the price is reasonable and freeze it efficiently, you're protected against the next price spike. That spike is coming. The supply conditions have not fundamentally improved. Stock your freezer now. Product number 17. Kirkland Signature, Purified Water. I want to end on this one because it sounds the most obvious, and yet it's the one most people never actually act on. Kirkland Signature Purified Water, the 40-count cases of 16-ounce bottles, has been one of the most visible examples of retail price pressure at Costco in recent years. What sold for around $2.79 a few years ago climbed to close to $4.50 as costs for plastic resin, labor, and transportation accumulated. The value is still there relative to bottled water alternatives, but the trajectory is not going in the right direction. More importantly, water is what disappears first when anything happens. Storms, power outages, supply chain anxiety, any news that makes people nervous. Members during the 2024 port strike scare reported their Costco being completely sold out of Kirkland water, with nothing but Pellegrino left on the shelf. I keep a rotating supply of 3 to 4 cases at home at all times. We use them, we replace them, we never scramble. The sense of calm that comes from knowing you have water on hand if something disrupts your access is genuinely worth the $20 those cases cost. Water stores indefinitely when sealed. Keep it away from direct sunlight and chemical products that might off-gas into the plastic. Rotate it occasionally. It costs almost nothing and protects against a lot. This is not a dramatic purchase, it's a sensible one. And the people who never do it are always the ones wishing they had. Here's what I want to leave you with. All 17 of these items share something in common. They're products that are caught between supply pressure and demand pressure at the same time. Costs going up on the input side, demand staying high or increasing on the output side, and Costco's ability to hold prices, which has historically been one of its greatest strengths, has limits when the underlying math doesn't work. Some of these items will stabilize, some of them won't. A few of them may quietly disappear from the Kirkland label entirely, the way chocolate chips did, the way roast beef did, the way soy milk did. Those are decisions you won't get a warning about. There is no announcement. There is just an asterisk on the price tag one day, and then nothing. You do not need to buy everything on this list this week. But I'd encourage you to take a look at which of these you rely on regularly and ask yourself whether you have a reasonable buffer. Not months and months of it. Just enough that a supply hiccup or a price spike doesn't immediately change your budget or your routine. The shoppers who do this are not the ones panicking in the parking lot when the shelves are bare. They're the ones at home, calm, making dinner from what they already have. That is where I want you to be. If this video was helpful, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this content. And subscribe if you haven't already. I put these stock up alerts out regularly, and I try to make sure every one of them gives you something you can actually act on. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next one.